Welcome to the Waller Report, MMA Savvy Sports exclusive. Listen, we're back by popular demand, and we're going to hit you with another hot MMA Savvy episode. Today, we're going to talk about the UFC Fight Night Cejudo vs. Song that happened Saturday night in Seattle. We're going to go through the card and analyze all the big moments and the official results. Then we're also going to spend some time and talk about the insane MMA news that broke this past week, baby. As you know, we go nuts with hot bookings at Savvy, and therefore your boy is going to go on a tear today. There's so much to discuss, so get ready and hold on to your fucking hats. All right, so let's start with the fights from last night. Let's pull this shit up and get serious. All right, so UFC Fight Night, Cejudo versus Song in Seattle. It was a great card. I mean, like I knew it. We knew it from the beginning. Listen, we lost a lot of fights, but I knew it was still gonna be with the slate. We knew it was gonna be a hot card. We'll get to the main event, but I got a lot to talk about. I'm not going to talk about every fight because literally we could go all day. There was so many good fights. I'm going to go up 3 fights in the prelims because, yes, we clamped the prelims at Savvy, baby. Okay, first off, let's talk about Austin Vanderford. Okay, listen, he came over from Bellator. He had challenged for a title there, and I always like to see, like, when you get to the high end, echelon of another one of the promotions, how are you going to do? How is that going to translate, right? So he fought for a title. He didn't win in Bellator, but now he has that confidence that he got almost to the mountaintop over there. So how does he do over here? So listen, he came in. He's going to be a force at welterweight. He looked like a beast. They did a catchweight fight at 175, so he's going to be normal, at 170 at welterweight. He came in, he looked good. I mean, he was a monster. He was taking Nikolai down in round 1. He was controlling him. He was frustrating him. And then in round 2, he got him down again and then ended with amazing shots on the ground. The ref stopped it. Nikolai, that was weird at the end of the fight where he came up to him and pushed him like it was his fault. There was a little bit of commotion and confusion, but I thought great debut. He could be a future problem at welterweight. Let's see how he goes along the way in that class. But anyway, I just wanted to mention that. If you turn your attention to the fight up here, Ricky Simón, I had this one highlighted because this guy had, and let's look back live here at his fight history. He's got an interesting trajectory. Okay, so I was following him, right? He beats Kaleher, and he's no slouch. But what really turned my eyes towards Simón was the Asuncao victory. I mean, he came in, and he looked fucking nuts. And this was all back in 2021. He looked like a beast. He looked like one of the I was telling everybody, wow, you got to watch out for Simón. He could be the scariest guy in the division at 135. He then submits Shore, who was a highly touted, prospect. And then he fell into some hard times. But look at the fights. I mean, it's Song Yadong, right, who just fought last night also, which is very interesting. But he goes into a war with him, but Yadong just kind of out-duels him and he finishes him around 5. But at least he hung in there. And then he loses to Batista and then Oliveira. And you kind of think, damn, like what happened to this guy in 2021 that I thought maybe could be, contending at least for a top 5 spot. So he comes back. If you look against Basharat, man, he came in looking great, and he gets the round 1 KO. He was dominating him and then lands huge punches. He's back on the map. I don't know if he'll be a champion, but I just like to see someone who had such promise be able to come back and then deliver. So now, okay, let's keep moving on. The other one, oh, right. What a fight. Cutelaba versus Ibo Aslan. This was another one, and this was the first Savvy pick that we had of the night. Of course, me and Nico both lost. This will be interesting. I did go 5-1 for the night, though, baby. Nico's at a 3-3, but we'll get into that in our next Excuse the Savvy episode. But this was unbelievable, man. Aslan had come in. He had got 2 back-to-back KOs. He looked very scary. Cutalaba's up and down. He's sometimes a little too reckless. They were throwing bombs. I mean, I was like, it was crazy. We both picked Aslan stupidly. Cutelaba weathers the storm. He throws some bombs of his own. He gets a bunch of takedowns, and changed the game up on Aslan a little bit. He sort of shocks him. And Aslan didn't have anything with the takedowns. He took him down and then got an amazing submission. And he's back. I mean, I don't know, again, if he's ever going to be a top 10 guy. I mean, maybe at least could get in the top 10 echelon. But if he fights smarter like this, it doesn't. The issue with Cutelaba before is he would brawl, he would go nuts, and he would look like very, promising, and then he would get clipped. He would get hit because he would be open. He'd be too reckless. So if he fights a little bit more like this and a little bit smarter, maybe we're looking at some rankings in his future. All right, let's keep moving along. There's a lot to discuss on the main card, but I want to go straight to the Rob Font, Gene Matsumoto fight, which I picked right, baby. Matsumoto came in. He was undefeated. He was the favorite. Font had been reeling a little bit, but he reset himself against Kyler Phillips, and I just felt, okay, Matsumoto's coming in on short notice. Maybe you take Rob to get this done. And just what a fight. I mean, this could have been pretty close to a fight of the night. Rob's older, but, great striking ability. Round one was really close. I think Font outdid him with the striking. It was a back and forth. Matsumoto sort of reset himself a little bit in that second. Very close. And then the third round was what sort of did it. Font really just he knew he had to dig deep. Against like he did with Kyler Phillips, he had to dig deep again. It ended up being a split decision victory. It was really, really close because Matsumoto he's definitely going to be someone in the division that you're going to look for in the future. But Font was just so unbelievable with hands. He said, no, I'm not done. I'm going to keep my number 9. And he does it for me. And this is where I got a little distance from my co-host, Nico. I can't wait to talk about it next week. Now, you get to the Brendan Allen, Anthony Hernandez fight. And listen, just from what I told you guys is exactly what happened. So there's two stories to this. One is Hernandez is the top 3 grappler in the division, and he keeps proving it. I mean, unbelievable. The wrestling on this guy is scary. He's the one guy that's going to be able to contend with Kamaev and maybe Mo Nickel. If they keep saying Nickel's wrestling is that great, I want to see more of it. But the other issue was Allen and even Bisping and Felder both said this during the fucking show. He's too risky. He had Hernandez on the feet. He was winning on the feet in the first, and he tries to jump for the back and kind of falls off, gives Hernandez a position. Of course, he does come back and reverse it in the first round, so maybe you could have given Allen the first round. And I was like, wow, I hadn't seen Hernandez in trouble like this, but then boom, he goes straight back to the wrestling in round 2, and then 2 and 3, he pretty much just owns him. And then in the third round, which pissed me off, was Allen hurts him with the left in the eye, and he should have kept the distance. But he got too close. They got into the clinch again, and then he got taken down again. And I know it's easy for me to say this on a couch. When you're dealing with Hernandez, man, it's so hard to get away from him once he gets his clutches on you. But I just feel like Brendan Allen should have known that it was probably 1-1 going into that third round and just let himself be taken down. It was just sort of dumbfounding. Were you coming here to win? Were you coming here to try to prove that you could out-grapple this guy? Because I think since he's such a good grappler, that was what he kind of wanted to do, because I hear he was the one who called the fight out. But anyway, hats off. Anthony Hernandez now is going to go from 12 to 9 in the world. He's a big problem. His next fight is really going to test him with the high echelon guys at middleweight, which is the hottest division in the world right now. And that's my proclamation. All right. Then it was such a great card. I mean, so many unbelievable, finishes and performances. You get to Yadong, Cejudo, and, of course there was controversy. The eye poke is sort of what ended the fight. It did, in the third round, there was the big eye poke. But I got to say, before we just dwell on that, let's look at the first round, I think Cejudo might have won. It was very, very close. Song didn't really do enough, and Cejudo at least had more activity. I'm surprised he wasn't really I know Bisping and Felder kept saying, well, he can't get takedowns. I'm like, he barely tried any. Like, what are you guys talking about? He should have been. He basically just decided to have a stand-up fight. I mean, he shot a couple times early, but he should have been more relentless on that. See if Yadong can deal with it. I mean, you're Olympic gold medalist, for Christ's sake. Like, use that advantage. He basically was having a kickboxing match against a guy who was younger, who's faster, and has better striking. So I don't know what his game plan was. Anyway, by round 2, Yadong looks unbelievable. I mean, he starts out striking him, and his hands, he's getting better. I mean, I'm a huge Yadong fan. I think he could be a champion one day. Very impressive kid, and he just keeps getting better. It seems like he didn't seem like he was scared of the moment, even being in there with his ex double weight champion, right? And he looked great. And then, of course, so he wins 2, 3. He's winning. And then, of course, the big eye poke. Now, I don't like the people booing or, and I know we heard the mic and they didn't get to hear it, but hey, man, you can't see, you got to stop the fight. So I think hats off to Cejudo for being brave enough to not go out there and try to get himself hurt more. But, the people in the crowd were kind of confused because they didn't hear Jason Herzog, who handled it quite well. I don't think they needed to start the 4th round, though. That didn't make any sense. They had already been through more of half of the fight by the end of the 3rd round. So I think he got confused. But anyway, goes to the scorecards. Yadong wins. A little bit of not the most spectacular ending to the night that we all wanted, but pretty fabulous. I mean, performance at least by Yadong, and now he's going to get that number 7 ranking in a big fight next, and Cejudo's got to figure out. He's still relevant, though. He's still in the fight, but overall, great fight night. I love what they fuck the Apex. I love it when they do. In Seattle was loud. I love with the crowds. They got me jacked up. All right, so that was last night. Every week I'm going to come on and give you my analysis, but the bigger news this week. Yes, that was a great card, but it was really the fucking news, man. It was the news that got me jacked up. So let's check this out. Let's go straight into it. Ilia Topuria has relinquished his featherweight belt. He's leaving 145 and he's declaring, I'm going to 155 permanently. I don't love it. Listen, he's on a tear. He just knocked out Holloway and Volkanovski. So he feels like he's undefeated. He's 16-0. Right. So now he feels that he's godlike, that he can't be touched. I get it. You have this aura, but bro, you're 5'7". And listen, he went to Dana. He said he's done what he wanted to do at featherweight. And he can't make the weight. But dude, you're 5'7". What do you mean you can't make the weight? There's fucking guys that are 6'3", like Sean Woodson, that's fighting down there. There's lightweights that are 6'1". Like, I just don't think it's a great idea. Look at what happened with Volkanovski. Yes, he almost beat Islam in that first fight, but look at what happened in the second fight. I mean, it's just too small for it's all about the frame, dude. So, like, I mean, listen, he has a puncher's chance. He might be able to go up and beat people in the top 5 and beat Islam. I'm not saying he can't do it, but it's one thing to say, I'm going to challenge for it and then come back and retain. But to do this completely relinquishing the featherweight belt and going to 155, I think it's ridiculous. I don't like it. I think it's a bad decision. I mean, let's just go back and look at his fight history. It's not like he's done that fucking much. I mean, he's on a crazy run. Look at all these wins in a row. Let's talk about the Mitchell knockout was insane. That really put Topuria, that legitimized Topuria. Then he beats Emmett in a hard fought, but like Emmett, who throws bombs, man, he couldn't be in there with Topuria, but he lasted all 5 rounds, but he got socked, he got beat up. Then, of course, the shocking KO of Volkanovski, and then the KO of Holloway. Holloway was in there in the first round. So listen, I get it. You're on this run, but bro, you just got the belt off Volk. You've defended it once. What happened to stay in the division for a while? Take on Lopez. Take on a couple other guys before you make this, unless it is like a health thing and he doesn't like doing the weight cut. But it's, bro, you're 5'7". You're not like 6'1", and you don't want to cut that. Even Connor was like 5'9", 5'10", 5'9". At least he's a little bit bigger, so you could see why he maybe was sick of the featherweight and wanted to go up and prove something. But I think these guys are they're not doing it right, bro. Like, if you're there for a couple years, more like what Volkanovski did, he cleaned out the division. He beat Holloway, fucking 3 times? That makes more sense. I just I don't like this move. I think it's sort of ridiculous. I think it's going to mess with his legacy. I don't think he's going to be as successful at 155. So I think it's kind of BS. Let's just look at the rankings really quickly to calm me down. So, like, dude, you could have still fought Lopez. You still could have fought Evloev. There's some, Laron Murphy, he's probably going to be in contention in a year or so if he gets through some other people. Arnold Allen kind of slipped a little bit. So, yeah, I guess there's maybe not a ton of guys, and I don't know if Ortega or Rodriguez have the same buzz, but at least fight Lopez or Evloev before you make this kind of crazy move. Like, I don't like it. There's tons of people in MMA that like it because they want these exciting super fights. I think it's BS unless you've really done enough in the division and you've cleared people out and you beat people multiple times, or you're like Pereira and you have the fucking frame to go up. He doesn't have the frame. It's just like, this whole thing's pissing me off. Anyway, what does that mean? So that means Dana needs to fill the fucking main event in Miami. So who does he trot back in but our boy Volkanovski versus Lopez for the vacant featherweight title? Listen, I like the fight, but I'm a little bit... I would have liked it if it was Lopez Topuria, like it should have been. That should have been the fight. Volkanovski's lost 3 straight. Yes, he's 2 against Islam, and he almost won that first Islam fight. Nico claims he does. He claims that he does. Of course, he lost 3 rounds to 2, but he was in the fight. It was a heroic performance. But then he gets knocked out in the second one, and then he gets knocked out by Topuria. I don't really care about even a legend like Volkanovski, who's one of my favorite fighters. If you've lost 3 straight, I don't care about you coming back in for the title. It just I like the Lopez thing. That's huge. He's mowing through people. He looks like an unstoppable force. He's bringing new pizzazz and hype to the division, right? It's a great booking. I still like it. I'm still a crazy MMA fan. I'm going to watch it, and I hope Volkanovski resets himself, because here's the thing, bro. If you lose 4 straight, I don't care if they're all title fights, man, that you're not going to be cut from the UFC, but it tarnishes your legacy. I don't like what Volkanovski's, doing. I would have preferred that Dana gave him a tune-up fight, take on Evloev, something like that, while Lopez fights Topuria. That's what I would have liked. Okay, but listen, I'm not running the show. That's just my 2 cents. But the other big fight that they just booked here in Miami is Chandler versus Paddy the Baddy Pimblett. Listen, this is another one of those ones, though. Chandler just sort of because of his excitement, he's lost a few in a row. He wasted a lot of time waiting for Conor. And now this is a very dangerous fight against Paddy, who I'm a big Chandler fan, but I love Paddy the Baddy. I'm now kind of thinking it might be the same thing, man, where it's just like Chandler had a shot against Oliveira in that last one. He almost finished him in that final round, but he just didn't. He sort of took too many reckless maneuvers. He didn't get enough round under his belt. I think Paddy's the future. I think Paddy's going to win here. He's going to probably do this, but at least it's a very exciting booking, because it now will really show, is Paddy ready for the top 5 guys? If he can get through Chandler, who's now this sort of gatekeeper for the top 5 guys. Also, Chandler, he has a chance to reset himself by beating this rising star. He's got to finally get a win because he's lost a bunch in a row. He can't afford another loss, or that could be his career as well. I like the booking. It's a very exciting card. I mean, you got Neal versus Prates, which is unbelievable. Krylov versus Reyes. I like a lot of fights here. So I'm definitely not, saying I'm not pumped on this. It's definitely a pretty great card, but I would have preferred Topuria versus Lopez. Okay. And then if you didn't think that was enough, because we fucking like bookings here at Savvy, then all of a sudden Dana, an hour later, it's Muhammad, it's Della Maddalena for the welterweight title. But here's the weird thing, and I know I've been sounding negative during this podcast here, but it was supposed to be Muhammad Rakhmonov, baby. So I guess what's happened is Rakhmonov is injured. He can't take the fight. So again, what's happening is Dana is filling a card, which I think is becoming a theme. I just got to say, like, I know that's the fight game, but last year, injuries kept jeopardizing and diminishing cards, and sort of this needing to fill the main event, not having time to get the right fighters in is made the year not as great as it could have been in 2024. And now I feel like both of these bookings, Volkanovski versus Lopez, probably not the fight we really wanted. Mohamed De La Maddalena, probably not the fight we really wanted. We wanted the Rock Bottom fight. I will go on, however, to say it is a fucking amazing fight. I mean, let's check this out. I mean, you got the champ, Muhammad, who's really, improved, and he's impressed me over the last couple of years, beating all the top guys, especially that Edwards fight. Even though in the middle of the night, I still don't like that they fucking did. That was a bullshit thing to have them fight at like 5 a.m. It's garbage decision by Dana. Jack Della Maddalena. For people that don't know, for people, the rookies listening to my podcast, just check out what this kid has done. He beats Rude Boy. He beats Roberts. He has a tough win against Hafez. He beats Holland in another split decision, but the big coming out party that made him legit was that come from behind victory against Burns. Holy shit. Burns was up on him. He was wrestling him. He was probably going to win the fight. He was up. It was going to probably be a nice 29-28 victory. And with a little over a minute left, he hits him with those bombs and takes Burns out, which is sort of a sad ending to Burns there because it might have fucked with his career. But Jack Della got himself in place for a situation like this, where Rakhmonov is hurt, Dana needs to fill the card, and it's still a great fight. Don't get me wrong. Like, man, if he can deal with Muhammad's takedowns and Muhammad's grappling, this guy has some of the best hands in the fucking division. He was supposed to fight Edwards, which we're going to get into in a second, which I love. Man, I love Jack Della Edwards, though, because of it would have been a striker's delight, but he got moved over because Rakhmonov couldn't take the fight. So boom, we have it. At least there's movement. At least there's action, and it is a great fight. If he can deal with the takedown and the pressure of Muhammad, this is definitely going to be an amazing fight, and he has a chance to be champion. Now, the other one, just real quickly, I'm not going to go through all these cards. I'm just breaking news here and analyzing the latest news, is Shevchenko versus Manon Fiorot. That's an amazing fight. Shevchenko, she reset herself. She beat Grasso finally in the trilogy. She got her belt back. And Fiorot, man, my God, this lady is serious, right? So she really, in that Rose fight, I realized, oh, wait, oh, damn, you're dealing with like a serious flyweight here. She's jacked. She's tough. She's got great hands, great grappling. This is definitely one of the female fight you're really looking forward to. I love this fight. I think it's going to be fantastic. And then you have Burns versus Morales, another new talented young star. Man, Gilbert Burns, God, he's got a lot of tough guys right in a row. I don't know how I see that going, but if he doesn't reset himself here, he's in sort of his career is in limbo. Okay. What does this mean, though? Because Jack Della got moved, that also means that Dana hit us with another announcement that Brady is stepping in against Edwards, which happens right around the corner in March. Now, I just got to say, the loser in all of this is Edwards, because he had that Jack Della fight, which by no means was an easy fight. No one wants to stand with that kid. But Edwards is probably still the best striker in the division, so it was going to be more of a matchup he likes. He's had to deal with so many wrestlers in a row. It's unbelievable. Like the Covingtons, the Usmans, the Mohammeds. It's like the boy cannot get a striker, and he finally was matched up against a striker. And now they moved him off, and then in comes Brady. Besides, Muhammad is one of the best grapplers in the entire division, and I just feel bad. It's at home, it's in London, and I feel like, man, this is a terrible matchup for Leon Edwards. Every fight he gets better with his takedown defense, especially the Colby fight, but something was wrong with Covington in that fight. He wasn't who he normally is, and then you kind of saw the Muhammad fight. That's more of what's going to happen with a great grappler, although that was fucking 5 a.m, which I think is bullshit. So maybe Edwards is more tired. He couldn't defend it. He did defend Usman a lot better in that last fight, but I actually thought Usman won that second fight. So it's just, yeah, it's a bummer of a matchup for Edwards. Sean Brady reset himself amazingly well in that last fight. Let's just check. So Brady kind of had reset himself after losing to Muhammad in that tough loss. He came back, he submitted Gastelum, and then he again out grappled Burns. Like Burns had to deal with Burns sort of has been in the meat grinder with all these just insane new contenders, man. He's had a really rough run of it. And so Brady looks like, besides Muhammad, maybe the best grappler in the division. And God, poor Leon at home. Blachowicz versus Ulberg, another major fight. I love this card, but we'll analyze that in our next show. Anyway, that was all the hot MMA news. You'll hear it first on Savvy with the analysis. I told you we'd be bringing some shorter weekly updates along with our standard Excuse the Savvy extended show that will be twice a month. So get ready for more hot MMA content all the fucking time, baby. The resurgence of Savvy has been recognized across the globe, and we couldn't be more excited. So with that, thank you for listening to The Wally Report, the world's hottest podcast. Please subscribe, follow, comment, like, share, and blast. We're on Spotify. We're on Apple Podcasts. We're on YouTube. We're blasting hard on the talk, and we're heavy on the gram at The Wally Report. That's at The Wally Report. We've been posting amazing video clips from our episodes on our social channels, so don't miss out. And please make sure to comment on Spotify, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. We got new stuff on the tube, baby. So we love the comments and interactions with the fans. And with that, let's jam out to the tune.